Time to brush your teeth.
A phone call from distant relatives with an offer to help changed everything for Mike.
Yes.
In the Bay Area, he found a job as a property manager and saved enough money for this tiny studio in Oakland.
It's our place. It's our starting foundation.
Hey.
All this was possible, Mike says, because of this.
Good morning. Who's at my door? Hi, Jenny.
Childcare is probably the most essential service.
96.9. High five. Yay. This is a young African-American single dad with a 2-year-old that life is hard. Life is going to be hard for him anyway, and we all know this.
With persistence and a lot of luck, Mike hit the lotto. In the middle of the pandemic, he found a rare daycare slot for Danny at Little Miss Nancy's preschool in Oakland.
Hi, Mama.
If you didn't have Miss Nancy right now, what would that do to your life?
I would have to go back to where I was a year ago, and that just is not an option. It can't be, because it's just such a terrible place to be.
We gonna watch a movie tonight?
John tried getting his son into a daycare program.
Like, I call in, they say, okay, where's the mother at? Like, no, it's me. Like, no, can you get somebody else to call in? Like, it's just ridiculous.
According to a Portland State University study, single dads battle social stigmas that they as men should not have full-time custody of children. In some cases, the absence of the mother was a barrier to getting services.
There was times where, like, the daycare worker in particular was like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm here to get my son. Like, well, don't his mama don't want to do all this?
Many parents like Mike and John say they simply can't survive without childcare.
Okay, here you go.
It's an industry that we found was struggling before COVID hit. Now, nearly 50% of small daycare programs like Miss Nancy's have been forced to close due to rising cleaning costs and plummeting income.
We care for the families, we care for the children, but who's caring for us?
The way that things are going right now,
Yes.
if it keeps going like this for a long time,
Yeah.
can your business survive?
No. I can't.
Our system is teetering, and it's been teetering for decades.
Mary Ignatius is the statewide organizer for Parent Voices, a parent advocacy group.
The childcare industry needs a bailout. It needs a childcare bailout like airlines are receiving, banks are receiving, and other, institutions who contribute to our national, state, and local economy.
This is how dire the childcare situation is. In California, more than 2.5 million kids are from low-income families eligible for state support. But there are only 1 million childcare slots available. And this was before the pandemic made it even harder for parents, especially single fathers. Just take a look at all the funding channels California has to offer subsidies to struggling parents. Industry workers and parents say part of the problem is this convoluted system.
This looks crazy.
Gives you a headache.
California Assemblyman Kevin McCarty is a longtime advocate for making childcare affordable and accessible.
We put a lot of pots of money to help prop up childcare, but the bottom line is it's still floundering. There's not enough spots. It costs more for childcare than it does going to UC Berkeley. And that's just crazy. Who can afford that?
McCarty points out California lost $1 billion in childcare funding during the 2008 recession and never recovered.
If childcare hasn't been a priority for so long, who says it's going to be a priority then?
It has. If you look in the last 10 years, especially, I think you've seen this galvanizing force pushing early education, preschool, and childcare.
Do you have the support you need here in the state capitol to actually meaningfully address this problem?
Not enough support. Not enough support.
And not enough results. Most California families that qualify for childcare subsidies still can't get them. The governor had plans to address the gap,
I need more.
but the pandemic brought many of them to a halt.
Because I'm a man with a child, I feel as though there was an expectation that I should have already been able to handle this stuff on my own.
For now, Mike and Danny have a place to live in childcare. But if one thing goes wrong, Mike says, it can trigger a downward spiral back to homelessness.
Yeah, it's really, really, really fragile.
In our next episode of No Man's Land, single fatherhood for Black men.
I see caricatures. I see stereotypes.
And how children's books are shaping the way we look at Black fathers.